episode 104, The Roommate. Now, this is my first episode coming back after being off for my week in Japan, and I wasn't really looking forward to this episode because it was like coming off of the last, mini arc and, some of the cool stuff they did, and then I was like, alright, it's an episode where they focus on a cat, and technically they did. But surprisingly, I think they actually did a good job with this episode. It was an episode that seems to lead into the next one as well. They might reference it a little bit, but it seems like the focus wasn't just a dumb filler episode. It was like, here's Mitsuki becoming more human. And that's always good. That's always good development for his character because he's, the calm character. He didn't even realize that he loved the cat. And I almost like that element of the story itself when Sadara and Boruto are like, aren't you going to be lonely? He's like, for what? And then it's like, well, then you love the cat. And it kind of dawned on him like, oh, that's why I was, running all over the place to all these different hospitals and stuff, even though he had no idea where to go. It was like, oh, that's why I was doing that stuff because I love the cat. And, he's feeding it and giving it water and things like that. But I actually thought that was cool. I was like, all right, it wasn't just a dumb episode where they talk about how cute the cat is and stuff like that. It was an episode where, they chase down a thief. The thief ends up forcing the kitten to, eat this jewel. And then he escapes and they end up finding the cat. And it's like, well, we can't just leave this little, kitten alone. And, they show the cats earlier in the episode, of course. And, the parent is this really fat cat. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, that cat is super fat. But it's like, okay, Mitsuki is the one who ends up taking care of it. The first scene of the cat in his apartment I thought was pretty funny. And it's just, doing normal cat stuff, going around. It's like, picture of Boruto, get this out of my face. Which still find that super funny that he has that picture of Boruto. It moved from the from his nightstand to literally being on his bed. I'm like, he could have just rearranged the pictures like a little bit or put it somewhere else, a different counter or something, I guess. But it's still just really funny to me. It's like that picture is literally on his bed. And so the cat's, meowing and stuff. He keeps putting it on the floor, trying to get warm, and then he starts to realize how to take care of this cat. I was like, all right, it was a decent episode. Still wasn't too much to it. The cops follow the 4 people in there that are in the alleyway. They're like, it has to be one of these 4 people. We just can't, they didn't have any proof. So they're like, all right, keep an eye on all 4 of these people. Eventually one of them is going to screw up and we'll figure out who the thief is. So as they're going through, we end up seeing the guy, they reveal who it is kind of early. And we see him kind of stalking the other characters. Specifically stalking Mitsuki because Mitsuki has the cat. And as soon as they show that first scene of him outside of Mitsuki's window, I was like, okay, he fed the diamond, to the cat. And so I was like, all right, that's how that's going to end up playing out. And eventually the jewel ends up going through the cat's system to the point where it gets wounded. And that's pretty much how things play out. The thief is like, all right, now that Mitsuki's kind of out in the open, he's been tracking him down. The cops have been tracking the thief, so he ends up stealing the cat. They track him down. I guess it took them a minute. I don't know. They were like kind of tracking him, but the kids still got to the alleyway before the cops did. So I thought it was kind of where I was like, why didn't they just grab him right off the top if they were tracking him? But either way, had to pad out the time. So they run through the alleyway. They end up. I'm pretty sure they were at the same alleyway that they were at the beginning of the episode. I could be wrong, but it did. It was an alleyway, so it's hard to tell. But I was like, okay, they ended up, kind of in the exact same spot where the episode pretty much began. And so, of course, the police end up capturing him. And the funny thing was, it was like, the guy mentioned, it was like, you guys don't have any proof. And I was like, oh, you put the diamond in the cat. And it was just like, oh, man. And then they took him away. And they were like, we'll leave the cat to you. Which, I guess since the ninja do technically work with the cops, that was a fine situation. Because it was like, obviously, they'll get the diamond as proof. But I thought that was kind of funny. It was like, technically, they didn't have proof. But obviously, they knew exactly what was going on. And I thought they could have just thrown something silly in there and been like, well, we don't have proof about the diamond, but you stole a cat. That's totally wrong. I thought that would have been really funny if they did that. But, they just go through. Normal solution. Everything's fine with the cat. It works out fine. They get the diamond. And then, Mitsuki's like, man, he's with the cat and everything. And then the cat's parent, comes along and it's just like, see ya, I'm out. And it's like, wow. Like, you're so fickle. And I thought that was funny because he said it earlier in the episode. And it was just like, that was it. And the cat was gone. And Mitsuki kind of evolved a little bit. And he grew up a little bit because he fell in love with something that he had to take care of. And I was like, all right, not a crappy filler episode. Like, it was still a filler. But it wasn't a crappy one. It did have at least a small bit of development for his character as he learned to take care of something and feel the emotions that he does admittedly feel for both Boruto and Sadara and some other members. But it was in a more parental sense where he actually has to take care of something. So I was like, all right, I like that concept. I thought it was entertaining. And it seems like it might lead into the next episode because it's based on Mitsuki. He mentioned like he's having dreams and stuff and thoughts about when he first saw the picture of Boruto. So I was like, all right, let's see how this ends up playing out. And so these episodes seem like they might evolve into, they might seem, separated for now, but I think by the time we get to either the end of the most recent episode, or I guess technically the last episode, possibly the most recent, depending on what tomorrow's episode is, but seems like they're doing something with this character right now and doing a little bit of build up for him. And I thought, okay, I'm all right with that. They did a good job with the whole cat thing and him, taking care of it, and it led to some funny moments. And I was like, okay, slightly funny moments, nothing super hilarious or anything like that, but the development of his character is important. So I was happy with it. I was like, all right, minor, but it's worth it. So I was like, they did a decent enough job on that, so I'm happy with it. And we'll see what happens with this next episode when I actually end up catching up with it. But thought this one was okay. Didn't hate it at all. Would have preferred something cooler. I mean, considering what we just came off of with the last mini filler arc, which I still wish they went way further with that and just did much cooler stuff. But coming off of that, I was really expecting this episode to just be a huge dive, and it was like, okay, it wasn't. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't, actiony or anything like that, but has some decent character development. So I was about to say that's all you can hope for, but it's not. You can hope for a lot more than that, but at least that was okay. So decent episode, nothing too crazy about it. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it, and I would love to know what you guys would like to see as far as development for Mitsuki's character. Whether it's him, kind of understanding emotions better. Like he loved this cat, but he didn't realize he loved it. So a better understanding of his emotions, just more emotions, more moments in general where he has to connect with people or protect them. Or maybe, protect people that can't protect themselves. Like, with the cat, it was just a cat, but maybe they do it with a human child or something like that, or they're just on a crazy mission and maybe it's just Mitsuki that's left, or they get split up or something like that. I think would be good for his character too. It'd be kind of in the same vein, but a bit of an upgrade because you have a character that's, actually physically able to talk back and forth with him and help him understand a little bit more, considering he is basically, just a little kid. I mean, they all are anyway because they're all like 12 and 13, but a really young kid who somehow might have more of an experience of the world than even he does, being, twice that kid's age. So, little stuff like that I think would be really cool for Mitsuki's character. But like I said, we'd love to know what you guys would like to see for his development and what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.